Welcome back to another episode of Happier Hour. I'm your host, Grayson Hosell. As always, folks, it's been a minute. As a matter of fact, it's been 2 weeks because I had what we in the industry like to say a bit of burnout from posting on social media. Not only last week did I go on my friend Sid's podcast. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's called Are We Flirting? It was a very fun podcast. Me and Sid have been friends for a couple months now, and it's pretty evident that like we have good banter. We can like riff off of each other really well. It was a lot of fun, which is why I didn't post a podcast last week because I was like, hey, this is an hour and 17 minutes. If people want to check it out, they can. It's just as good as anything I've ever posted, if not better, because I had somebody to talk to. And I believe I was the first guest on her podcast. I could be wrong. But it was a lot of fun. And then just the first rounds on me, I also went on their podcast. They posted that on YouTube. I believe it's just first rounds on me. If you Google Grayson Hosell on YouTube, the only reason why I know this is because it just kind of popped up. I did that with them as well. That was a lot of fun. You should definitely check it out if you have the time. Like I said, it's called First Rounds on Me. Essentially, they just kind of asked me about like my dating history, some dating red flags, green flags, like some things I like on first dates, stuff like that. You should definitely check it out. It was a lot of fun. Hannah and Joe, you guys are amazing. If you're listening to this, I had a very, very good time. Just a heads up, Hannah and Joe, the reason why I was acting so strange, if you guys caught on to my behavior, I found out that my dog died like an hour before I was on your podcast. My childhood dog passed away about an hour before I went on your guys' podcast, which is why my eyes are bloodshot because I, for one, was crying on the subway over. Today's episode is going to be a bit of what I like to call a Q&A because it's a question and answer session. I posted on my Instagram story probably about an hour ago. Hey, if you have any questions for me, put them in the thing, and I'm going to be answering those today. Also, I would like to say I'm enjoying myself a non-alcoholic beverage, not because I need one, okay, but because it was in my fridge, and everybody knows I'm in the process of moving. Unless you're new here, I'm in the process of moving, and so I'm trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff that's in my fridge. I got rid of a bunch of clothes. I got rid of a bunch of furniture. You can see just there is a packing. I'm essentially packaging my clothes and my everything. I'm taking my golf clubs that I used maybe one time since living in Philadelphia. I'm taking those back home, where they will collect dust until I visit. And you know what? This episode is going to be very low maintenance. I quite literally just got out of the shower, didn't really care about doing my hair, didn't care about the way I looked. The lighting's probably not going to be great because I think the problem that I was having with the burnout was that I was trying a little too hard. I was posting quite literally every day. I was getting burnout from my engineering job. I recently took some time off. Also, last podcast episode 2 weeks ago, I said I'm going to go on a trip, and I bought a flight. And I'm going to Amsterdam in October with my friends, and I'm very, very excited for that. I have quite literally I went out of the United States one time when I was 15, when I was tagging along on a friend's trip to the Bahamas, but I have never in my adult life traveled for vacation or just in general gone out of the United States. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm trying to learn Dutch. It's not going great. I'm using a lot of Google Translate right now. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a fun and eye-opening vacation for me. I'm very excited for that. If you guys have any recommendations, if you're Dutch and you're like, hey, if you're in Amsterdam, check this out. Spoiler alert, I do know what the red light district is. I have no intention of going to there to do any sort of business or transactions. Not to say it's what they're doing is wrong. That's not, when I go on vacation, I don't want to do that. Unless I get drunk and I want to do it. Just kidding. Um, as you can tell, I have much more energy today. The past couple episodes, I've been kind of dragging. I'm just like, I just needed a break. And thankfully, I took about 10 to 12 days off of social media. I posted one thing that I knew was really funny, and I was like, all right, if I don't post this now, I'm never going to post it. And that kind of broke the hiatus. But for the most part, I took my time. Um, took my chances. Don't lose the grip on the dream of success. You have to fight to keep them alive. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about at this point, if you're still tuned in 5 minutes in, I am quite literally quoting "Eye of the Tiger" by whoever sang that song. I don't know. But without further ado, let's get into the Q&A. The Q&A. Let's see. All right. First question from my friend Colin, diva or queen? Colin, I don't know if you saw this, but One Piece, which here's the thing, folks, okay? And I understand I said Q&A, and I'm obviously going to go, oh yeah, here's another thing, okay? Before I get into this side route, this sidebar on the sidebar, okay? So I posted or First Rounds on Me posted a clip of the podcast of me talking about the reason why I think I struggle so hard with getting into relationships is because emotionally I don't want to drain somebody, you know? And one of the top comments is why is this guy talking about going to therapy when he obviously struggles with drinking? Hey, I know I struggle with drinking. That's what the NA beer is for, okay? I understand that that's a problem I have. I don't really drink that often. If I do, it's like maybe once or twice a week, and it's not really in excess all that often. The problem I think was with that post is the timing wasn't great because I posted that clip and then I said, hey, it's Day Beers Day, and posted myself with a beer at 10 a.m. Here's the thing, folks. International Day Beers Day is the day before Memorial Day weekend, okay, if you're an American. Essentially, Day Beers Day, I don't know if you guys have any sort of intuition on what this is. You just drink beer all day. That's an international holiday that's a national holiday that I made up. Well, I got the idea from Letterkenny, the TV show about a small town named Letterkenny in Canada. That's very, very funny. You should definitely check it out. Worth watching. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to drink beer all day today because I have tomorrow off. I need it. I don't need it. Hey, I don't have a problem. I don't need it. I just wanted to do it because I think it would be fun, and I had a great time. I had day beers, and it was great. So the timing wasn't great on that. I don't really drink that much anymore. Obviously, I have an NA beer. I have plenty of alcohol that I have to go through. Also, it's kind of freaking me out this setting because I don't like the mirror in the back. It's kind of weirding me out a little bit. Nevertheless, let's keep going. So my friend Colin, for those of you who not know Colin, but know me, I do like watching anime shows. My friend Colin has been dying to get me involved into One Piece. It's like there's like over 1,000 episodes, and I understand that the story's great and there's so many connections, blah blah blah. There's over 1,000 episodes. Even if I were to start that today and watch one episode a day, I would not finish that until like 3 years from now, approximately, which is ridiculous to say. So I'm not gonna be doing that. But my friend Colin asked me diva or queen. Um, I would say queen. I think queen. Diva. I feel like I don't really know the lore between diva and queen. I don't know. Like I don't really understand the ins and outs of saying it. So I'm gonna say queen. I feel like diva is overdone at this point. Handcuff me to what? A radiator? Lock you in my basement? Maybe. If I were given a free round trip ticket tomorrow, where would I go and why? All right, if this is a good question. So obviously I'm going to Amsterdam, but that's because my friend wanted to go anyways, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a reason to frickin' escape. I need to take a week off. I have accumulated for those of you who know, for some corporate jobs, they roll over PTO. They roll over PTO, and I have literally banked in my PTO bank 230 hours of PTO, including sick time, and that's ridiculous. That's literally like, for those of you who are good at math, that's like 6 weeks of vacation just sitting. I never take vacation. I don't really take sick days unless I have an appointment. And so I've been dying to just like get out, and I'm burnt out. I've 2 years of not really taking sick time, not really taking my own vacation PTO. Um, and so to answer your question, if I had a round trip ticket, where would I go? I would probably go to, for those of you who don't know, I love Greek mythology. I love, and I guess Roman mythology. I just like that time period where it was like Greeks and Romans. And so if I were to travel by myself, round trip ticket right now, I would probably go to Greece. I would start in Greece, right? And then couple days in Rome, seeing all the architecture, all the, the stuff, and then going to like Greece and seeing all the ancient mythological, temples and stuff like that. I would definitely check that out. But yeah, to answer your question, Greece or Rome, I think that would be an excellent idea. My favorite, I think. Here we go. Let's see. What other questions do you guys have for me? How tall am I? 4'9" and shrinking. Thank you for asking. Um, does my daughter get mad when I'm out gallivanting? I for one don't really gallivant. Also, as you can see, Miso's the ultimate chiller. Okay, wow, this lighting's great. I look like I'm being raptured into heaven right now. Much better. Oh, Miso's coming down to join the party. Hi, baby. Meow meow. I look even worse here. I look like Casper the Ghost. Anyways, yeah, no, Miso, she definitely gets sad when I'm gone, and rightfully so. That was kind of narcissistic of me to say. Obviously I miss Miso exponentially when I have to leave my apartment to go and do anything, but at the same time, it is my I have to get out of the house. And as much as I would love to bring Miso with me, I've already tried the little cat backpack thing. I've tried leashes. I've tried harnesses. She's too skittish. She's too shy. She doesn't want to go out, which is unfortunate. But nevertheless, I would assume that she probably misses me and she probably gets mad a little bit. She's probably a little jealous that she can't come and join me. But unfortunately, I've tried very, very hard to get her to come out with me and she just won't do it. Another thing I'm trying to do better, because I just remembered something that I forgot to do today, is I'm trying not to be so hard on myself when I forget to do things or I don't fit things into my day. Listen, I had a full day. I worked 9 hours to 9.5 hours today. I went to the gym because I needed it. I haven't been to the gym in a long time, and a long time. It's been like 5 days. I had a long weekend where I drank a lot. Obviously day beers day, and I got to work that off. And I'm trying to get in shape for my own mental health and well being. I'm gonna go home this weekend actually, which I'm very excited about. Which stay tuned for a family pod. I'm gonna try and do one pod at least with my sister Haley. She's really excited about going on. And then also doing a pod, just kind of like general family, like try and have each of them on individually, slowly but surely. So look out for those. Probably going to roll them out weekly, which I'm excited for. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, not being so hard on myself. When I don't get things done in my day, I only have a limited amount of time. I try to get 7 hours of sleep every night. So I'm asleep by 11s or asleep. I try to get 8 hours of sleep a night because I'm asleep by 11 so I can wake up at 7 so I can get working by 8 a.m. And then I don't take a lunch. I work right through lunch. I finish at 5:30 every day. Um, and there's only so many hours in the day. And as long as my deadlines are still ahead of me, they're not, it's not, I force myself into these losing battles where, I put these restraints on me and be like, all right, you got to get this done today. You got to get this done today. And then it's 9 p.m. and I'm still like trying to get shit done. I'm like, hey, it's time for you to wind down. So I'm trying to accept that like not everything has to get done on my own schedule. There's this thing called the burnt toast theory. I'm starting to or trying to accept that a little bit more. Sorry, I need to like adjust my chair a little bit so I don't lean back so much. Um, in this thing called burnt toast theory, where it's like a burnt piece of toast and having to like redo it, that extra time spent could save you down the road from something that you haven't seen. Like having to redo toast because you burnt it in the morning might prevent you from being in a car crash. Essentially, it's along that lines. I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but it's a good intent is what I'm trying to say. For me, um, you know, trying to accept that like not everything's gonna get done on time and the way I assume or want it to be all the time. Miso's up here now. Come here, baby. Lay down. Thank you. Hi, baby. All right, let's keep going. Other questions. Uh, best concert I've ever been to. Best concert I've ever been to. I honestly haven't really been to a ton of concerts. I think in total I've been to maybe three. Let's see. When I was in college, I went to Louis the Child with my friends. When I was a senior, that was a lot of fun. When I turned 22, my sister took me to Odessa on their farewell tour, which was a lot of fun. I also recently, this is a complete sidebar, but it's in my head fresh. Why I think another reason why I'm so excited today is because I think, I talk about doing stand up all the time. I don't know if I would necessarily get started on it today, but I did think of a really funny concept for something that I could probably write at least 5 minutes of material on. And I'm not going to say what it is, but it does involve Helen Keller, for lack of a better term, Helen Keller. Uh, um, and thinking through the possibility of jokes, and like allowing myself to riff in the shower, just like quite literally. I talk to myself all the time out loud because I think that's the best way of thinking, and probably because I'm a little bit schizophrenic and or possibly bipolar and or possibly other things. Hey, also I'm on the lookout. Maybe ADHD, who knows. I'm still on the lookout for a therapist. As much as I love BetterHelp, I that's when I was in therapy, a couple years ago. I was using BetterHelp. Um, I'm kind of operating more off of the suggestion of my friend who is a therapist, licensed therapist, I believe, because she has great connections and she's like, what are you looking for? What are you wanting? And she's trying to like kind of set me up with people that she knows in her own network that kind of handle the things. I think the problem was when I was on BetterHelp, me being a pushover, I didn't want the therapist to think that like I didn't want them, and so the therapist, which may not have been the best therapist for me, um, I stuck with for the entire year that I did therapy. And not saying she was a bad therapist or anything. I just think that the relationship that we had wasn't necessarily all that beneficial. Well, it was good, but it wasn't as good as it probably could have been if I was more comfortable with like, maybe somebody that understood my issues a little bit more. So still currently on the lookout for a therapist. And again, I don't even know how this thought process started. Oh yeah, Helen Keller. I have 5 minutes of good riff material of what I'm trying to say, based on the concept that I came up with for the premise of a joke. So I think that's why I'm also excited as well. Let's see. Um, how does it feel to be the off-brand Edward Cullen? Bella, I can smell you. It feels good. I mean, obviously, a lot of people say that uh, Robert Pattinson is a relatively handsome gentleman, so I'll take it. I don't care. I'm as pale as a vampire, and I have pretty sharp teeth, so I'm okay with being an off-brand Edward Cullen. That's like saying you're like the Walmart version of Justin Bieber. Well, I bet you know a lot about Walmart because you sound like a Walmart expert, and I don't shop there. I hope you guys get that reference. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. Did I find a place in New York? Not yet, but I'm spending one day, one solid day this week, literally looking all day. I said, you know what? I'm going to take a sick day or a vacation day, and I'm going to dedicate an entire day with a potential roommate looking for places. And hopefully we land on one because, boy, I'll tell you, I've got a month left on this lease, and I'm a little scared. Um, but yeah, no, not yet. Still looking, still looking. Um, let's see. Am I a good kisser? Probably not. One thing about me, I have very chapped lips. I'm very vocal about it. My lips, I don't know if you could tell, they're very chapped. And it's like probably kissing eczema. Just imagine making out with eczema, the personification of eczema, eczema, however you pronounce it. That's what it's like kissing me. It's not great. It's not great. You getting your PE license? That's a great question. For those of you who don't know, the PE exam is called the Professional Engineers Exam. Essentially, the natural route in a junior engineer would take is they graduate college, they get their EIT. The EIT stands for Engineer and Training License. That's what I got. I don't know if you necessarily need it to be a professional engineer. Um, but you also have to get 5 years of experience under a professional under a licensed certified PE professional engineer. And then you take this like 9 hour exam to essentially become a professional engineer, and you have to pass it, of course. And right now I'm 2 years deep into my career. All of the work that I've done has been under a PE. So technically, this is it counts as experience, And so I would be eligible to get my PE license in 3 years' time from now. But the problem is, I don't know necessarily if I want to right now. I'm starting to like the more project management side of things in the sense that, um, you know, like managing people and task delegation and like coordination with subcontractors and stuff like that. I'm starting to enjoy a little bit. I think I'm good at it. I think I'm capable of like handling a lot of things all at once. And so I think, if not my PE in 3 years time from now, I might look into getting my project management license, because you can use that quite literally anywhere. You don't necessarily have to be an engineer to do that. Sorry, I'm trying not to burp into the microphone. But that's a great question. That is a fantastic question. Let's see. Every time I click out of this, I have to restart, and it's very annoying. Um, what's my type? I'll describe my physical type, and then I will describe my emotional slash mental type, my soul type. So my physical type, um, I really like women with dark hair, typically jet black hair, and like those little patchwork tattoos. For some reason, I'm a big fan of those. Um, that when I first moved to Philly, where I was from in Idaho, well, where I was living in Idaho prior to Philadelphia, there was a lot of like bleach blonde, fake eyelashes, spray tan, either Mormon or ex-Mormon or married already at like 23 when I was living there. And it was really like throwing me off. I was just, there was not my physical type, even though my most recent ex-girlfriend is quite literally blonde. Um, it just wasn't really, I wasn't really like physically attracted to the people that were around me. And then I moved to the East Coast or the Northeast to Philadelphia, and there's a lot of people here that are like, a lot of the women here have like dark brown hair or jet black hair and jet like patchwork tattoos, and I was like, holy cow, I'm in heaven. I was a big fan. So physically speaking, I would say, jet black hair, patchwork tattoos. I do like a little racial ambiguity in the sense, or ethnic ambiguity in the sense that like, um, you know, women with like darker skin, more melanin. Um, I have a tendency now these days to be a little more interested in them. I don't know where that comes from. I think one of my friends, Simona, she's into ethnically ambiguous men, and she travels quite a bit, and she tells me all her stories about the people that she meets, and I'm like, wow, it sounds like I would like to, date a racially ambiguous woman that is good at dancing. Because it sounds, fun. It sounds like a fun hobby to do is like take a girl dancing. Like, I don't, tango or bachata, I think is what it's called. So I would say this honestly, the my physical type doesn't really matter. My first girlfriend was ginger. My second girlfriend, sorry, my allergies are really bad. My second girlfriend was blonde. A lot of the women I've dated since moving to Philadelphia have had dark hair with patchwork tattoos. So I don't really stick necessarily to I don't really stick hard to a physical type. It's more or less like my big thing is like sense of humor is pretty massive to me. I don't take myself serious. Obviously, I'll take a relationship serious, but like I don't take myself serious. So somebody I can joke around with, somebody that I can have a laugh with, I can, good banter. The biggest thing for me is banter. I need somebody that I can go back and forth with and like riff and like we can joke about things and um, you know, I need that. That's like the biggest thing. And it sounds mean, and I don't mean it to sound mean, but oftentimes, I've been talking to a woman. We've gone on a date or two, and it just kind of like the conversation either fizzles out or it just like bores me. It doesn't like keep me enthused. It doesn't keep me like locked in. And so, more or less like my emotional mental the thing that I need, my type is like good banter. I need a woman to have good banter with me, that we can go back and forth, we can joke. That's like my biggest thing. Let's keep going here. What's something I wish I could undo? um that's a great question. I think about what's like the most embarrassing story that I think about all the time. Um, man, I don't even know. Most embarrassing story. I'm trying to think. I definitely have embarrassing stories, but for some reason nothing's coming to mind right now, which I know is not true. I know I got a ton of embarrassing stories all over the place. Um, hmm. My most, what would I undo? I would probably, and this is gonna sound lame. I'm trying to like think of a funny, embarrassing story. For the most part, it would probably be the issue I had when it came to drinking. I would probably undo that. That just it wasn't good for my mental health, and it has caused me now down the line to be like it's really caused me to evaluate whether or not the problem, if I have a problem today, if like it's almost given me like Catholic guilt in the sense that like anytime I have a drink, I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? There's always that like second thought, but to be honest, obviously I know these days I'm fine. I can handle myself, but um, that's probably something I would go back and undo. Um, Honestly, probably my most recent relationship, I learned a lot, and it was very good for me in the sense that like I learned a lot about my independence and what I like and what I look for in a partner. Um, but it was a very it did a lot of damage to me. It in the sense that like I kind of lost myself for a long period of time, and potentially I would maybe go back and undo that, but I'm honestly not entirely sure. It's a good question though. Excellent question. Um, let's see. Let's keep going. Uh, uh, um, how would you describe being in love slash falling in love feels like? Um, you know, This is a great question. I don't entirely know. Here's what I assume it's going to feel like. Because a lot of people tell me that you just know. That, like, when you fall in love, you just know. When you meet the right person, you just kind of know. Um, Here's what I imagine from, based on my interpretation of what people have told me, from what I've seen in movies and television, and obviously those are so correct and everything about them is accurate. No, I think for me, knowing when I'm in love with somebody, um, it's going to hit me. The thing about me, I love cuddling. I'm big on like, just kind of being together, spending time together. Um, you know, running my fingers through your hair while you're laying on my chest type beat. That's corny and cringy, but that's honestly what I would say. Is I would imagine knowing that feeling of when you're in love is it comes in a moment like that where you're with somebody and you're just laying there, not necessarily like a super sexually intimate moment. It's more or less just like being there and having the Shia LaBeouf, which he's had his fair share of issues in the past. I'm not trying to put him on a pedestal or anything, but he said this thing once when he was talking about when he was in rehab, that the ministry of presence, and I think I'll know I'm in love with somebody when I have this feeling when I'm in a moment like that where we're together, you know, a moment of like pure emotional intimacy where I'm close with somebody and it's gonna hit me where I'm like I literally will not I can't be without this person. Whether or not they complete me, whether or not they are, you know, it's gonna hit me in a moment when I'm like running my finger through a beautiful woman's hair, right? She might be asleep. She's taking a nap on my chest, and I am just like, I can't get enough of her, if that makes sense. I can't go another waking moment without being in this person's life. I think that's how I'll kind of know, you know. Um, it might hit me in a moment like that. It might hit me in a moment out in public where like she does something to me. Like for example, here's this. there were specific moments in my last relationship where I absolutely knew that I was in love with the person that I was with. In my, let's see, in my second relationship, there was a moment when we were living together. We were probably at the 10-month mark at this point when um, we were watching some dumb show. I forget what it was called. Um, but we were watching some dumb show and this theme song was playing. The theme song of the show was playing. And she just started like kind of like dancing, like, fun, something like this. And I was like doing it with her we were in our bedroom. She was living with me at the time. We were in our bedroom and we were both dancing like that. Um, and that was a moment. In that moment, I literally, it hit me. I was like, this is somebody that I am in love with. So that's, for example, one moment. I'm trying to think about my first relationship when I knew that I was in love with her. Um, oh yeah, funny enough, I just remembered. Um, we actually weren't even together. It was in a video that she sent me. It was the first time she had ever been in snow. Um, and she sent me a video. I don't even think she was on. She wasn't even on camera. Actually, yeah, she was. She was on camera. And literally, all it took for this video for me to realize that I was like, wow, I'm in love with this person is all she said was, it's snowing, and she was on camera. The way she said it, the way it made me feel about myself, seeing somebody that I was with be so, in the moment, or being loving where they were. Um, that was a specific moment in time where I was like, wow, I am definitely in love with this person. And obviously it's different now that I'm out of both of these relationships. It's a different kind of feeling. It's not more or less like I'm in love with the person. It's just like we shared that moment in time, in the sense that like they had my love at that point in time. And obviously some people grow apart over time. Some things happen in relationships. I have no ill will towards either of them. Um, it was just one of those things where you just kind of like, a piece of yourself kind of gets taken by somebody else in the best way possible. In that moment where I was in love with these women, they just kind of had me. They had me in the most intimate and best way possible. Um, and it's very vulnerable to feel that way. And I think the reason why I remember them is because it obviously deeply affected me. Both of those moments, it made me realize deep in my soul, deep in my bones, that like this human that I had the fortunate pleasure of getting to know to some extent, like that I was, they had a piece of my soul. They owned a piece of my soul with love in the nicest way possible. So, it's just kind of in these weird, to answer your question for the person that asked that, it's just kind of this weird moment that just kind of like makes you wake up and you're like, holy shit, this is, this is a piece of me at this point. Like this is an extension of everything that I see that's good about the world. It's like a moment where you find that like this other human that you're with is quite possibly the most important thing that you've had at that, up until that moment, in your entire life. And it's just kind of like it's just weird. It's hard to explain, and I probably didn't do a good job of it, and I apologize for that. But it's just kind of one of those things that you just know in the moment. And that's what people say. You just know in the moment. And they're exactly right. So I had a lot of meetings today, so my voice is a little hoarse. Shout out to Timothy Chalamet. Some of you guys are going to get that reference. Some of you won't. Who is the GF? Talk about her. No more soft launches. Big dog, I'm single. Single as a Pringle. Don't know what to say. What's my biggest form of self care? Um, Good question. I do love a little Netflix show here and there. I'm currently watching Suits on Netflix. I do love just like something to wind down at the end of the day by like watching like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, maybe an episode of a show before going to sleep. It's just kind of like my final decompression in the sense that like I can finally breathe. I'm just like, I don't have to think about anything else about what's going on in the world, what I've got going on, all these deadlines. I got projects, I got this, I got social media stuff, I got this, and this. I got, events today, tomorrow, the next day, whatever. My best way of winding down is just with a show. I know some people are reading. I finally started reading again in the sense that I'm 4 pages deep into a book, which is proof that I can read. Not very well, but I am reading again. It's called Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Um, it's a book about a man that turns into a. It's about a man that turns into a cockroach. Like I said, I'm only 4 pages deep, but it's a man turns into a cockroach. My friend Caroline was like, "Hey, I really think you should read this book. I think you would benefit from it." Um, Apparently, when I read the one paragraph summary of the book, it's about this man who turns into a cockroach overnight, just kind of wakes up and he's a cockroach, and then he has to deal with kind of like alienation and his self identity, how he fits in with his family and stuff like that. So I did start reading again, which is good news. I know it's healthy to read, it's good for your brain. Um, so maybe one of these days I'll replace that little winding down segment. Instead of watching a show, I will, by chance, read. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Most comforting childhood memory. Ooh, great question. My most comforting childhood memory. Hmm. 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 Let's see. Oh man, this is deep. It's a deep question. Um, man, when I was a kid, I'm very close with my cousin. Shout out to Joe. I don't know if you still listen to the podcast, but when I was a kid, I would often go over to my cousin's house, and stay the night. Um, and we used to do little Nerf wars. And in his house, he had this long hallway, this long stretch of hallway that would go essentially extend from the living room all the way to the back where the bedrooms were. It was probably like maybe 30, 40 linear feet of hallway. It's about a 4 foot wide hallway. Um, wow, I'm actually thinking of another one. I'll do both. Love you, Joe. Miss you, buddy. Um, and we used to have these Nerf wars, and we would set up pillows on either side of the hallway, and we would be on either side of the pillows. Those were essentially our trenches. Though we were in the trenches. It was trench warfare. All right, I had gangrene. All right, my cousin had trench foot, and we would just shoot at each other from across the hall, and that was a lot of fun. And I just remembered another. This is actually probably my most comforting um, of all time childhood memory. When I was maybe 11, 12. Let's see, that Joe would have been 14, 15. Maybe I was like 9, 10. Um, the Call of Duty Black Ops came out, or maybe it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Call of Duty Black Ops came out, and my cousin Joseph, he got Call of Duty Black Ops for the Xbox 360, and we sat in his room and we played Call of Duty Black Ops together, just like constantly. I would beg my mom to go over to his house so we could play video games. And that was definitely up there as far as like comforting childhood memories. Just like sitting with my cousin on his bed playing Black Ops. It was a good time. It was a really, really good time. I remember that dearly. There's that one. My family, when we wanted to travel growing up, we would take a trailer, like a pretty large trailer. Um, and we had like a couple of ATVs, like a couple of quads, that we would take to a desert that was like 2 hours from our house. With our good family friends, they had same thing, same setup. They would have a trailer with a couple of quads, and we would go. I think around like Thanksgiving, and we would go to this just middle of desert, with a fire pit, couple of lawn chairs, and then that was it. We would go for like 3 4 days on a long weekend, and that was also a great childhood memory because I was too young, I was too small, my quad wasn't strong enough, powerful enough to like go on the long rides with my sisters and our family friends and my dad. Our family friend's mom and my mom would just kind of hang out and play cards all day. And so they would kind of watch me. I was like, again, I was too young, so I would ride around. I'd make essentially like a little circular donut track, something small, 50 yards, maybe 100 yards. Um, and I would literally just ride all day in this little donut track, and they would watch me. I would make little jumps, um, that I would drive off of, and try and do tricks or whatever, no hands and no feet and stuff like that when I was a kid, and that was a lot of fun too. Walk down memory lane here. My I'm gonna do another one. When I was a kid, I was famous for not famous. I threw this one really really cool birthday party when I was probably like 6, and it literally in high school, as a graduating senior in high school, my friends would still talk about how fun it was. I got a blow up like an inflatable water slide in my house, and I invited like 20 of my closest friends, and we would just go crazy on this thing. We were playing like King of the Hill, and we were like ripping people down off the water slide, and I was a tiny child. Like I was underweight, undersized, under height. So I'm getting like knocked around. It's not good for me. I was getting beat up, and all my friends were like, we were just having a good time. We were kids. We were 6 years old. Playing with like water guns and spraying the super soakers all over the place and just having a good time. That's probably another one of my comfort memories. It's a lot of fun, you know. Um, Man, that was great. Yeah, that was another one of my comfort memories. Wow, a little walk down memory lane. I forget that I'm allowed to do that. I forget that I'm allowed to have nostalgia every now and then, that I can just kind of like sit and think about all the childhood memories that I have. I don't have to think about timesheets as a consultant engineer. I don't have to think about deliverables all the time and, when to post TikTok. Sometimes I can just sit around and think about all the things I used to do as a kid that have made me into the person that I am today. It's kind of sad that I don't think about my nostalgia anymore. Oh baby. Yeah. um let's see. Let's see. Um what's the most valuable life lesson I've learned so far? Um it's not really a life lesson, it's just something that I try to live my life by, and I would argue that my friends agree that I operate this way based upon a quite literal conversation we had this past weekend. I'm very generous, and I go out of my way to be generous for people. I'd like to think I'm kind. I think the greatest life lesson, the greatest thing you can be in life, if you're going to be anything, is kind to people that are deserving, people that are undeserving, and forgiveness. Um, I don't necessarily have a ton of people in my life that have done me wrong. But like little things, or little inconveniences, minor inconveniences, people that annoy me out in public, I do my best to treat everybody with kindness and to be forgiving. I think that's the best lesson that you can learn in your entire life, is just be kind, be nice to people. Um, a lot of people don't realize like how far being nice can get you, in the sense, not to like sound like a manipulator, but like people want to surround themselves with nice, kind people. And I get it. Like that provides you with the opportunity of like getting hurt and like letting people walk all over you. I don't care. I would rather be nice and get walked over all day than allow myself to be rude or mean and, stand tall. I don't care. I can be confident. I can be myself. I can forgive people that walk all over me. All that I want. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to try to be nice. Even to people that are mean. Just be nice. Penis size. All right. It's negative. I have a negative penis size. Figure that one out, science. Figure that one out, Darwin. All right? While you were doing Galapagos turtle surveys in the Galapagos Islands, I was busy developing an inverted penis. You're welcome, science. um, let's see. Let's see. Why do you look exactly like my ex? Because I am your ex, manifested into another human, and I've come to haunt you on your explore page every single day of your life. I am here consistent. My one sole purpose in life, me talking about this after I've just talked about being kind. You guys have to know I'm joking, okay? When it comes to this stuff. My one sole purpose is to make you remember constantly, okay, about your ex. You didn't specify whether or not they were a bad ex. So, you're welcome and or I'm sorry. What do I think of people named Josh? I think everybody that's ever been named Josh ever in the history of humanity, they should walk the plank. Every single one. I don't know a single Josh. I'm thinking through the one Josh that I know has 3 baby mamas and is like 26. You would think after baby mama 1 and 2, baby mama 3 would have learned, but I don't know if that's the case. Um, That's the one Josh that I can think of. The other Josh I used to play video games with growing up, he was all right. Quirky fella. Yeah, let's make them all walk. Every Josh out there, make them walk the plank. I don't care. Oh no, we have less J names out there. Sounds like, based on what I know about people with J names, that's a positive. I'm doing the world a favor by making every Josh walk the plank. And you're welcome. You're welcome, world. You're welcome, society. Baked beans. Is that a question? I see baked beans with a question mark. I'm assuming that's a question. I've had some before. They make me fart vociferously. Is that even a word? I don't know. What am I even saying anymore? I can't tell. I think the problem is I got too sappy there for a second where I was talking about being kind and having childhood memories, and now I'm trying to make up for the humoristic aspect of this podcast. How am I doing so far? Not a good job? I can tell. See, what's my gym routine? I go in there, I stare at myself in the mirror because I'm a narcissist. People get uncomfortable, and then I drop a big old fat protein deuce in the toilet that probably doesn't get cleaned well enough for me to actually be doing that, and then I leave. My throat hurts. I'm sorry. Can I sit on your face? No, you can't. My face is for sitting in front of a mirror at Planet Fitness and staring at myself. And probably ego lifting. I'm probably going to hurt myself long term with the way that I operate in the gym because I'm too busy thinking everybody in here is looking at how much weight I'm doing and not concerned with whatever they're doing because I'm a narcissist and I have social anxiety. Keep going. My friend tried to wing woman for me at Trash, but you said no. Okay. Well, I apologize. You should still shop at Trash. I don't work there anymore. My last day was 2 weeks ago. And I apologize. But you have to understand, it's not my favorite thing in the world to get hit on while I'm working. And they have good quality items. And the owner's a G. She's a freaking G. She's great. Let's see, who is this? I recognize the face of the person that submitted that question. I'm great with faces, bad with names. You can still shop there. I don't work there anymore, I promise. Part two of that follow-up question. Why did you say no? I am fun and sexy. I apologize. I just don't like getting hit on while I'm working. All right? My fault. What's my go-to cocktail? Depends on time of year. If it's the spring, I'm going to get gin gimlet. It's lime, it's gin, it's tasty, it's delicious. If it's the summer, I'm probably going to go with an ice cold beer. Actually, that's not a cocktail. I can't choose a beer. If it's the summer, I might do something crazy like a vodka cranberry because I don't want any UTIs. Did I mention? I think I talked about having a freaking kidney stone. I think I had a baby kidney stone. I was literally posted up in my bathroom, hand gripping the back wall, pain in my ovaries. Explain that one, science. How do I have ovaries? I don't even know, but I felt the pain in them as I'm trying to urinate. Can't come out. All I want is just a steady stream of semi-yellow liquid. Hand on the wall. Other hand on the back wall. Holding on. At this point, I look like I'm on the New York City subway in my bathroom because I'm holding on to any sort of available structure because I'm in pain, feeling like I'm going to pass out, right? I feel the pain in my nuggets, okay? My man nuggets. The pain is flowing through me. And I'm like, why can't I get myself to urinate, right? As one does, as it happens. Finally, the sensation, Niagara Falls, in my bathroom as I'm clutching my pearls, aka the walls of my bathroom. Finally, the yellow Amazonian river decides to flow, and I have sweet release. It takes a second, massive pain, borderline feeling like I'm going to pass out, and then I pee, I tinkle. Yellow hits the bowl, and I have a sweet sense of release. Immediate, urgent. Did I see any kidney stones? No. I didn't see anything in the bowl. Nothing. Didn't really look all that hard because I felt like I was dying for a second and now I was fine. So, I don't even remember what question I was talking about with that. uh, man. Best advice for someone who's always been too busy to date and is now scared it's too late. It's too late for you. No, I'm just kidding. You can always find love, all right? At the same time, if it doesn't work out for your schedule, don't put so much pressure on it, dog. You're busy. Who cares? You'll find love eventually, or it'll find you. And if it doesn't, it was never meant to be. You fell in love with your busy schedule. You fell in love with your calendar. That's the problem. Hi, baby. You want to come hang out? Come on. We're gonna end the podcast here in a couple minutes, okay? All right. Are you always drunk and high? Is it sleep deprivation? Or are you just chill? Are you just that chill of a guy? I swear on my life, I'm a chill guy. Okay. You see me in these interviews and I'm like super chill. That's my actual personality. When I'm alone, a little bit chaotic. I let the ADHD flow. I have to have my walls up when I'm out in person and in public and making these public appearances. You get me comfortable. I'm a little more talkative. I can riff bits. I can joke. I'm a jokester. I'm a chucklehead. I'm a jester. Did I fart today? Ask me again in 5 minutes. The answer is yes both times. What happened to Diary of a Simpy Kid? I killed him. I made him walk the plank. For those of you who don't know, I used to be called Diary of a Simpy Kid on TikTok because I was an idiot. Because I thought I was being cheeky. But then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm 21 years old, referring to myself as a child. That's weird. That's strange behavior. Top 5 celebrity crushes. Here we go. Clairo. Strike that. Clairo's dead to me. She's not. I need to move on because it'll never happen. Number 1, Lizzie McAlpine. Number 2, Dua Lipa. SZA. Why do my fingers look so short? I don't know. SZA. Gemma Chan, for those of you who know who Gemma Chan is. Fine. Fine shit. Casey Musgraves. Those are the 5. What can I say? Those are my 5 celebrity crushes. What's my favorite energy drink? Mine's sugar-free Red Bull. That's crazy. Energy drinks are disgusting. And I'm not 12 or white trash, so I don't drink them. No, I'm just kidding. If I do have an energy drink, it'll probably be a Celsius, aka sponsor me, aka please send me on trips, aka I went on one trip with them and they were like, hey, we love you, and then I never heard back from them. What the hell? Also, I love yerba mate. Also, I love yerba mate. Hell yeah. I don't gotta be honest. I don't really know any other. Alani, I guess, is a energy drink. I had one sip of an Alani one time, and I thought that I was having heart palpitations. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna set this down before I give myself serious medical issues. Um, but yeah, I don't. I don't really drink energy drinks unless it's a Celsius. Unless it's an ice cold Celsius getting me through my day. Would I ever be down to second, third, and fourth marriages? At some point, I have to acknowledge that I am probably the issue. If I'm getting to the third and fourth marriage, dog, I need to give up. At that point, I have been wasting people's time. At that point, the problem has always been me, and I am better suited standing on the sidelines. I don't need to participate in the construct of marriage if I am working on the fourth and fifth one. That's at that point I become the issue. At that point, it's no longer 50-50, it's 90-10. I am the problem. So, second marriage, sure. If it happens, it happens. Sometimes people just don't work out. But third and fourth, good God. Let's rethink. Let's rethink some things. What are you doing, baby? She might be pooping right now, just like her father. What's the weirdest dream you had? I'm going to end with this one. I have had a dream. I had a dream when I was 16, 17. I still remember it, every detail to this day, and I'll describe it to you. Um, I I'm not sure what it means for the most part. Um, for those of you who know, I grew up relatively. Miso, stop fucking having a panic attack. You're freaking me out, dude. Meow. She's really scaring me. Anyways, so I had this dream when I was like 16, 17. I still remember every single detail of it. There were, dude, you're really scaring me. I know you got the zoomies right now, but we're about to go to bed here in just a second, okay? All right. Um, I had a dream when I was like 16, 17. Essentially, there were 3 levels, okay? 3 levels and then heaven, and I'll get there. First level, I was with a bunch of my high school friends and some other people that I had met or knew through social media. And just imagine it's like a rural setting. I remember there being an overpass of a highway, and underneath the highway, where the actual road was that I was standing on, because I was standing on the road. Imagine, here's a road, overpass highway. Where the overpass highway was, it was pitch black, and out from the pitch black walked a figure that looked honestly a lot like, if you remember the minion from Megamind. He's kind of like a built, like jacked. It almost looks like a gorilla with a fish head in a tank. But in my dream, instead of a fish head in the tank, it was like a. If you remember the intro song for Jimmy Neutron, that kind of like atom looking thing. It's got protons, neutrons, and electrons flying around. That was where the fish's head is. Minion's head from Megamind, right? So those things, those like creatures, were like walking around and killing people. And a couple of my friends sadly passed away. And the only way to like get rid of them was to like break the glass and essentially explode the atom that was their head. So imagine Minion from Megamind, but without a fish head. He had the Jimmy Neutron thing. And me and my friends eventually killed one by breaking the glass, popping its little atom thing, and then we got to the next level. And on this next level, there was quite literally just a wooden plank, like a wooden platform, maybe 20 by 40. And think like Minecraft, like birchwood type plank. Like that's what it looked like. It looked like I was like on a Minecraft platform of birchwood. And surrounding this, also on the platform, was a one singular door. So basically, we broke the little person's head, and then we just immediately showed up to this platform, standing on the platform. Didn't walk through the door, nothing. Um, and surrounding the platform was just like a field of grass that was high enough that like it was kind of rising above the platform, but it was thick. Like it was like several feet deep of just like wood, of not wood, of like bushes. Think of like a cornfield, except it wasn't actually corn. And we're standing on this platform, and in the background you can see a mountain. And my friend from my childhood, I'm not going to say his name, he had a pet mouse with him, and the mouse jumped out of his hands and into the grass that was several feet thick. And then he was like, oh my gosh, I have to go get my mouse, and then jumped off the platform and ran through the grass, never to be seen again. And then we walked through the door. And then as soon as we walked through the door on the platform, I was swimming up. I was just like immediately at the bottom of an ocean, and I was swimming up, swimming up, swimming up to this other door that I saw that was glowing red. And so I was swimming up, got to the door, and I was like, I was in a furnace essentially, which obviously heaven and hell, who knows? And so I was in a furnace. It was glowing red. There was red lights all over the walls. Think like emergency red lights that are like flashing, like on a fire truck or a cop car, um, on the walls. And then so you get up, and there's stairs. There's just stairs. Literally, there's like one set that leads to another door at the top. It's like maybe 10 steps, right? And so I quite literally just walked up the steps, but I was with a couple of my friends, and one of my friends was like, nah, I'm not going up. We were like, why not? It's right there. And he was just like, I don't want to. I'm going to stay here. And so we stayed there, but we walked up. And then when you walk out, imagine just, what am I at? All right. This is a long story, and I apologize, but this is literally a dream that I had when I was 16, and I quite literally remember it to this day, every detail. Um, and when you walked through the furnace door, and then you walk through that door, whatever, it just imagine an empty Macy's parking garage, like at a shopping mall parking garage. And in this parking garage, there's like just gold everywhere, mounds of gold, mounds of gold. And eventually, I'm just walking around. I'm alone at this point. I'm just walking around this empty parking garage filled with gold, and then it eventually turns into like an actual shopping mall. Like think Macy's, but instead of like, um, like retail clothes everywhere. It's just like white walls with gold everywhere. Um, and then I come upon this like wall that is quite literally it's a wall of fame, and it's just a bunch of famous people. And I was like, all right, I don't know who all these people are. And then in the dream, a figure, I don't remember who it was, just a figure was appeared next to me while I was at the wall, and we were talking about like who was on the wall, and I saw one of my friends on the wall. And then that was the dream. That was the craziest childhood, I was 16, that I had, and I still remember to this day. Never forgot it. Any detail. I could literally, if I was an artist, I could make the entire thing. And it was weird. It was very strange. And I don't know what it means. I don't know how to interpret dreams, but that's what it was. Hey, if you had 23 bad hours, also thank you guys so much for participating in the Q&As for this next set of podcasts that I'm going to do with my family. If you guys want to submit a question for my family to answer, for me to answer with my family, feel free to email the email happierpod@gmail.com. Put in the subject line something about my family, and I will try to answer it with my family. Thank you so much for listening to this Q&A episode. Hey, if you had 23 bad hours today, I hope the hour that you spent with me was a happier hour. I love you all. I love you all. Good night.